Once a Soho House basic, always a Soho House basic bitch.
Meghan has always had this very, very strange fascination with Soho House, very much this weird obsession with it.
They say every queen needs a king, but in Meghan Markle's story, there was always another man in the shadows, and this one didn't wear a crown.
So Jessica Mulroney introduced her to Markus Anderson in Toronto.
Markus Anderson, the guy who opened every door for her before Harry even knew she existed, and now he might be the one slamming them shut.
This guy has been around all of the time. Isn't that suspicious to you? Because it is for me. It is something that's strange.
Let's be honest, Meghan has always been the main character in her own movie. Every red carpet, every blog post, every Just a Girl from California speech was part of a perfectly lit performance. But behind the glow of the TIG and those luxury trips, someone was quietly pulling strings.
Back in her early days, she was totally reliant on Soho House to pay for her travel, to pay for her accommodation.
Markus wasn't just a friend, he was the key holder to her entire climb. He was the Soho House insider who knew which billionaires were in town and who could make introductions that changed lives overnight. Meghan played the part brilliantly, flashing charm like currency and connections like accessories.
Jeffrey Epstein was also Harvey Weinstein, very prominent. There were members. Meghan Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl, escort, whatever you want to call it. That's what she was.
But here's the roast for all her talk about independence. Nothing in Meghan's rise was solo. Every photo beside Markus screams strategy over spontaneity. She didn't stumble into royalty. She networked her way there one cocktail party at a time. And now the man she sidelined, the one who allegedly made those introductions, is tired of being the ghostwriter of her fairy tale.
Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California.
Because if Markus really starts talking, Meghan's self-made Duchess script might finally get its director's cut, and it won't be pretty. If walls could talk, the ones at Soho House Toronto would have the juiciest stories in royal history. Because before there were tiaras and Netflix deals, Meghan Markle was running her own version of Hollywood North, and Markus Anderson was the man holding the guest list.
Without Markus Anderson, I hope to prove to you in this video that Meghan Markle wouldn't have the level of global fame that she enjoys now.
Picture it: dim lights, expensive cocktails, a crowd full of producers, athletes, and billionaire investors. Meghan wasn't just attending, she was orchestrating. Every laugh, every selfie, every accidental encounter was another chess move in her social climb. While others were networking, Meghan was storyboarding her destiny.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
She knew the right table could change her life, and she made sure she was always seated at it. This wasn't about acting on Suits anymore. This was about acting in the movie of her own future. Markus gave her access, but Meghan brought the performance effortless charm, a dash of mystery, and a calculated smile that could melt through any room. She made sure the Toronto elite never forgot her name, and allegedly never stopped talking about her either.
When she started on Suits and she befriended Jessica Mulroney, her status changed.
Behind the glamour, whispers grew. Who was paying for the yacht trips? Why were certain invitations so private? Nobody could prove a thing, but the speculation stuck. Because when you mix beauty, ambition, and a members-only club full of secrets, the result is pure gold for gossip. And Meghan knew exactly how to sparkle. Every scandal has its smoking gun, but in this story, it's not a photo, a message, or a confession. It's something far more dangerous, a rumored list. A list that, according to online whispers, Markus Anderson never meant to exist, but allegedly kept anyway.
You know, this is what Meghan has been doing. She's a piece of Klingon, you know, like she clings to somebody who can get her there. So Meghan manages to befriend one person of a very popular group, and then that person introduces her to the others. And that because that she's being brought in by somebody they trust, she's welcomed in.
People online claim it wasn't just about who attended Soho House dinners, it was about who paid for them, whose names were linked to whose table, whose phone number appeared beside certain private event entries. Supposedly buried in those records are the names of businessmen, yacht owners, and even international players who shared more than champagne with rising stars like Meghan Markle. Again, nothing verified, no documents, no proof, just persistent digital chatter that refuses to disappear. The whispers paint a picture of an insider world where charm was currency and access was everything.
And we also have this. This is Karina Shuliak, Epstein's girlfriend.
And the only times she traveled and went anywhere was with him. And guess who's on the other end with her Panama hat?
Meghan, the magnetic actress from Suits, allegedly became the name everyone wanted at their table, and Marcus, the gatekeeper, made sure she got there. If this client list rumor ever surfaced publicly, it could explode the polished royal narrative she's built brick by brick. But the most haunting part, no one knows if Marcus truly kept those names or if it's just another ghost story from the internet. Still, one truth remains. When powerful people start fearing what might leak, it's usually because something was real enough to protect. Every empire has two sides, the one they show the cameras and the one they pray never sees daylight.
This gentleman right here, that's Nick Jones, the original founder of Soho House. Guess where he's going there? He's arriving at Meghan Markle and Harry's wedding as guest of honor. Oh yeah, Soho was present there.
In Meghan's case, the whispers say the second side was built in designer heels and private invitations. Online rumor mills claim that within Soho House's polished walls, connections weren't random, they were curated. Ambitious actresses, tech moguls, and financiers didn't just mingle for fun. They allegedly bartered favors, access, and introductions. Meghan, according to speculation, became a quiet master of this high-stakes dance. To some, she wasn't just a guest, she was a strategist who knew exactly how to turn every encounter into opportunity. There are claims, again unverified, that certain meetings felt less like coincidences and more like negotiations in couture.
He is like a parasite, always lurking in their shadow. No normal family has a constant third wheel, male or female, leeching onto their every move. Marcus is practically glued to them.
Marcus supposedly managed the introductions, keeping everything discreet, professional, and profitable. But when ambition meets influence, lines blur fast. What began as networking can start looking like a transaction once secrets get attached. If that dynamic ever became public, it would shatter the innocent actress meets prince fairy tale she sold for years. Because every story about double lives eventually exposes who was writing the script and who was just playing a role. But here's the twist. Rumors say Marcus kept the receipts, not literally, but in memory. And when someone like him starts remembering out loud, the entire illusion of perfection begins to flicker. And what comes next might make those past whispers sound tame.
He is the perfect person to be a highly paid consultant now for Soho House because he never puts a foot wrong. He never says anything about anyone.
They say silence speaks volumes, but when the quiet one finally talks, everyone listens. And if rumors are true, Markus Anderson might be ready to do just that. After years of smiling in the background, he's allegedly tired of being the invisible architect of Meghan's rise. Speculation online paints a picture of a man who built doors for others only to be locked out himself. When Meghan's royal story hit Netflix, eagle-eyed viewers noticed something odd. Marcus, the so-called matchmaker, barely appeared. In photos, his face blurred. In narratives, his name gone. To loyal insiders, that erasure wasn't an oversight, it was an insult.
Marcus started off at Soho House London as a waiter, and he was a global membership director when he first met Meghan.
Imagine helping craft someone's path to global fame only to be airbrushed from their fairy tale. It's the kind of slight that stings quietly until it doesn't. Then there's the timing. With Soho House facing more public scrutiny as a luxury brand, insiders whisper Marcus could be feeling the heat. The man who once controlled the velvet rope might be watching it unravel and taking control of the story before someone else does. And here's the wild part. Friends claim he's not looking for revenge, just recognition. But in a world where secrets equal power, recognition can sound a lot like exposure. If Marcus truly decides to speak, it won't just be about old friendships. It'll be about rewriting the royal origin story from the inside out.
And here we have Andrew, with whom looks like Markus Anderson. This is in 2001 when Meghan Markle would have allegedly been on third year. Meghan Markle hardly spent any time at Northwestern University. According to people, she got started her yachting days and she never stopped really. I don't think any of her boyfriends do about it, but Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
Every royal fairy tale ends with a kiss until the whispers start. And now, if online chatter is to be believed, Prince Harry might be questioning just how real his love story ever was. Insiders claim the Duke's once unshakable confidence in Meghan has been quietly replaced by confusion and disbelief. The man who once defended her against every headline now, allegedly, scrolls through old photos and messages, trying to make sense of what he's hearing. They say he's haunted by the idea that their meeting wasn't destiny, but design, that maybe long before the royal romance began, his name was already on someone's vision board.
Harry, who's that standing next to the Queen? Is that a servant? That's what Harry wrote in his book Spare. How stupid is this man that he actually believes it, or is it that he wanted to believe it?
In private, rumors say Harry's begun distancing himself emotionally, pulling back from the spotlight, refusing certain joint appearances. Friends whisper about long silences, late-night calls, and a man who looks less like a prince and more like someone who's been blindsided. To him, these new claims about Marcus and Soho House don't sound like harmless gossip. They sound like a threat to everything he gave up his crown for. If even fragments of these rumors feel true, it's no surprise he's retreating, because nothing cuts deeper than realizing your greatest love story might have been someone else's greatest strategy. And that quiet heart heartbreak hidden behind royal smiles could be the most devastating twist yet. When one domino falls in the world of the elite, it rarely stops at one.
And I wonder if Prince Andrew's going to come out and say, hey, Harry, I did your wife quite a few times on yachts before you got her.
And if the rumors about Markus Anderson's so-called revelations are even half true, Soho House might be feeling tremors all the way from Toronto to London. What began as a whisper about friendships has turned into an alleged crisis of image. The brand has always sold exclusivity, privacy wrapped in luxury, but gossip like this threatens that illusion. Online commentators now describe Soho House as something between a sanctuary for creatives and a stage for power games. The idea that its own membership director could be at the center of a high society leak, that's a nightmare no PR team can spin away. Behind the scenes, insiders claim nervous members are deleting old photos, cleaning social feeds, and avoiding the clubs altogether, even if none of it is proven. Perception is everything, and the perception right now is scandal.
Meghan Markle only becomes prominent for Soho House, guys, after she starts being on Suits and she's introduced to Markus Anderson. And then she gets more consistent and more prominent work, okay? Because then she could be in the presence of Markus Anderson.
If Markus truly talks, he could drag an entire institution into the spotlight it spent decades avoiding. For years, Soho House thrived on discretion. The first rule was simple: what happens inside stays inside. But if that code breaks and private stories turn into viral headlines, it won't just be Meghan's brand at risk. It'll be the entire aura of secrecy that built an empire. Because once the curtain lifts, every secret starts to look like a headline waiting to happen. Every storm leaves wreckage, but this one hasn't even hit shore yet. The question on everyone's lips isn't what happened, but what's coming next.
She'd been a Deal or No Deal girl. She was calling herself a model, and she was starring in a show Suits. She used to charge almost $30,000 per trip, which is why she was making good money. It wasn't on Suits, it was on her yachting trips.
Because if the whispers are right, Markus Anderson isn't done talking, and Meghan Markle's carefully built empire might be bracing for its biggest test yet. Speculation is swirling online. Some say Markus is preparing to speak publicly, maybe in a discreet interview or a tell-all book. Others insist Meghan's legal team is already circling, ready to silence the story before it spreads. And a few believe nothing will ever surface, just more shadowy hints, cryptic posts, and anonymous sources feeding the frenzy. Whatever the truth, the damage is already done. The mystery alone has people glued to every update, dissecting body language, old clips, and deleted posts like digital detectives.
He knows, and everybody all around the world, that you would want to know. The very rich, the very connected. Anybody who is anybody would be in Markus Anderson's little black book. And he's never betrayed a confidence. He's never made a slip.
For Meghan, perception has always been power, and this time control might be slipping. The self-made Duchess narrative is colliding with a more complicated past, one filled with unanswered questions and ghosts from the Toronto scene. Whether Markus truly speaks or not, the illusion of perfection has cracked, and that's the genius or the tragedy of this entire saga. It doesn't need proof to keep people watching. The silence, the speculation, the suspense, that is the story. Because when the friend who built your legend might be the one to end it, every second of quiet feels like thunder. Every royal story has its breaking point, and this one feels dangerously close. If these whispers about Markus Anderson truly unfold, they won't just rewrite Meghan's past. They could redraw the entire map of royal influence in the modern world.
They were not poor. They just wanted to land a rich man and make easy money. And the worst part of it all is that Meghan Markle was already with Trevor Engelson there. She was already living with him. There was no need for her to be hustling this way.
But before we close this chapter, think about what comes next. If Meghan's image is cracking under private revelations, imagine the fallout when America itself starts turning its back. Because in our last investigation, we revealed how a royal US tour ended in quiet humiliation, how doors once wide open suddenly slammed shut, leaving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in visible distress as the truth made headlines across America. If you haven't seen that one yet, it connects every dot we uncovered today. Trust me, you'll want to watch it right after this. This is Star Spotlight, the channel where the shine meets the shadows. We dive deep into the stories others only whisper about, where power, fame, and secrets collide in real time. Every week, we uncover another side of the spotlight you've never seen before. So don't just stop here. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and binge the next video to see how far this royal storm really goes. Because the story doesn't end when the cameras fade, it just gets darker.